Welcome back to Red Cedar Radar, USC edition. Kevin and Kyle joined me out on the court after Michigan State's loss here in LA. Let's do players of the game first before we kind of talk things overall. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Jeremy Fears Jr. I mean, easy pick. He led the team on offense. Not a great shooting outing, not a great offensive outing. So Fears' 12 points is going to have to be me.
Yeah, slim pickings, but I'm going to go with Cohen. I think his ability in the paint to kind of get some big buckets down the stretch got them back in the game when they got off that 15-point deficit. Limited minutes in the second half, but he had some good minutes there too.
I just felt like overall they played less connected than we've seen most of this season. So it's hard to pick out guys that really stood out because it just seemed like everyone was sluggish. Izzo mentioned in the post-game presser that he does not believe that it was because of the travel. He just thought that USC played better than Michigan State. So I'll be curious to see how they do against UCLA, if they can bounce back after maybe adjusting to being here a little bit more, even though Izzo said it had nothing to do with it. I think that's a factor in traveling, and now that the Big Ten is much bigger, I think that's just something to consider. So game points overall. We're not going to do positives and negatives because there's not, tons to pick from, but game points overall. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sluggish game offensively to basically repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just the obvious, which for me, Izzo's comment that the travel didn't impact it makes a little bit of sense when you think about the fact that they actually left earlier than they normally do. Because for this game, they left on Thursday. Normally it would be on a Friday. So it's a little odd to me that they were as sluggish as they were. Granted, there is that time zone difference. It is 3 versus, the usual 1 that you'd see in the Big Ten. If it is a time zone difference, 1 day per hour difference. So maybe they'll be better with UCLA. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's a positive, which I won't always take as one, is it's kind of a humble pie. That first loss when you're undefeated in the Big Ten, it's sort of out of the way. I mean, it's going to be a sprint to the finish with Purdue breathing down your neck and Michigan not far behind.
Yeah.
UCLA's, there's no must-win games outside of March, but that feels like one you really want to get.
Yeah.
I know Paul broke down some analytics on the playoff or the Big Ten title percentages with loss, somewhere around 35% if you lose both these games. That's going to be a big one. You can't get down 15 to start a game. It sort of felt like they never could get back into it.
Yeah.
They'd get one to almost one possession, and USC would stretch the lead again. It was close, but no cigar.
Yeah, I think I'm expecting them to bounce back just based off their attitudes on how they've been handling things this whole season. But if they drop both these games, heading back to the Breslin, who do they have first? Is it Oregon first?
I believe so.
I'm not sure. I think it is Oregon. But again, another team that isn't playing terribly as of recently. And I think the schedule just continues to get harder after this. So I think UCLA would be a good kind of confidence reboost after this loss. But I like what you said about, they hadn't been punched in the mouth, like Izzo said, and they didn't handle it well today. So this might be a learning experience that will be necessary heading into kind of Big Ten tournament in March. Anything else to say about this loss?
Yeah, I mean, I just reiterate turning a negative into a positive.
Yeah.
Michigan State was never going to make it through this full Big Ten conference season undefeated.
Unfortunately.
They got the loss off their back. They finally had something as a challenge. Those bigs really seem to give them a challenge offensively, and you really can't improve yourselves as a team winning all the time.
Yeah.
You really need to get a loss to truly get that improvement. So,
absolutely.
Turn that negative into a positive.
Yeah.
I thought Izzo's comments on the record, the Bobby Knight record, if that was sort of the subconscious of the team, and he really adamantly said, it doesn't exist in his mind. If it's there for the players, he hasn't noticed it.
A couple players in the locker room, when asked about it, mentioned we want that for him, but they didn't bring it up. They didn't kind of mention it as part of the loss. So I feel like that probably is the case, based off Izzo's comments, but they do want that for him. And I think it's obviously doable, but maybe at home or something like that. I don't know. Okay, well, thanks so much for tuning in to this, the first loss recap that we've had in a while. So we were lucky. We were happy after every time. Subscribe to Spartans Illustrated for more basketball coverage. You'll be at UCLA. Will you both be at UCLA? Okay, just
I'll be
Kyle
there.
representing at UCLA. And then find Red Series Radar wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.